Hey everybody, this is Steve Ninja at Excelsior Movie Reviews. So tonight I'm going to do an update of my Criterion collection. I've actually acquired 6 new titles here, and I actually have the first title I'm going to talk about is actually a blind buy that I made, and I actually talked about on my last video, Criterion video. The movie is at Midnight Cowboy. This is released in 1969. It's a spine number 925, and directed by John Schlesinger. This was starring Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight, and I talked about last time how this was a movie that was won Best Picture, and it was like the only X-rated movie to win Best Picture. And then I did some comments after I did that video because like I said, I'd never seen it before, except I for years during the Oscars they'd always show that scene when Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight are crossing the street in New York, and the taxi cab almost hits Dustin Hoffman, and Dustin Hoffman, spits out his cigarette and bounces, slaps the hood of the taxi and says, "I'm walking here. I'm walking here." Yeah, I'd always seen that scene, and I always wanted to see the movie, but I never saw it around at any time. And when I saw it on Criterion, I thought I'm going to check it out, and it's a very sad story, well acted by the 2 stars, and but the movie, it won Best Picture as an X-rated film, and then that was in 1970, and then in 1971, the MPAA actually asked, it may have been sometime in 1970, but they asked John Schlesinger if he would, after it won Best Picture, he said, we would like to give this movie an R rating, but we would like you to cut one scene from the movie just so we can say it was recut. And the director said, no, absolutely not. This movie just won Best Picture. I'm not going to do that. And so the MPAA ended up giving it an R rating anyway without making any cuts to the movie. So it's John Schlesinger. That takes quite a bit of integrity there to say, the movie didn't make any money because if it's now and then, if a movie was X-rated or if it's like NC-17 or unrated, most movie houses will not show that movie, and especially the mainstream ones like Regal and AMC. They won't show it. So by giving it an R rating, it was actually able to be seen in major theaters nationwide. So it took quite a bit of integrity to not do that, and so he stuck to his guns, and they gave it an R rating anyway, and it went out in theaters, and so everybody got to see it. But so another blind buy for me, I don't do blind buys very often just because Criterion are they're so expensive. Even if they're on sale, it might usually cost you about $20 for the most part. But another one that I bought that I had heard a lot of people talk about for a long time is the movie Blowout. This is directed by Brian De Palma, released in 1981, spine number 562. Starring John Travolta, Nancy Allen, and John Lithgow. I was really surprised how much I like this movie. I think it's one of Brian De Palma's better movies. It ranks up there top 2 or 3 for me. But I loved it. The next one is one that's very mainstream. It's actually spine number 13, and one of the really early Criterions, and this is The Silence of the Lambs. And I had this on Blu-ray before it wasn't Criterion, but really glad I got this because it's from they did a 4K scan of the movie and looks great. This was released in 1991. I think originally this was like on Laserdisc, so that's why it has such a low number, spine number. It was on Laserdisc, and then it was on DVD. And it's on it's on Blu-ray now, and I'm sure this one will get a 4K scan. Be released in 4K sometime in the near future. Now that Criterion's actually doing that, because a lot of their competitors are doing that, and so I've noticed people are trading in their Criterions to get the movies in 4K. So I think Criterion needs to get a lot of their movies out on 4K soon, just so people won't so they don't lose the market, basically. Now some of the big ones are like Arrow Video, and some of the other big boutique vendors are now offering these great movies in 4K. So Criterion's got to get theirs out quickly. And I know Citizen Kane was released, but they just need to get in 2022. They need to get a lot of those out so that people will continue to buy Criterion. But obviously, this is directed by Jonathan Demme. It's starring Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins, and everybody's seen this movie, so it's a fantastic movie. But another Best Picture winner. This was released in 2019, directed by Bong Joon-ho. This is Spy Number 1054, and it's a Parasite. I remember when I saw this in the theater, it was like on a Saturday afternoon. It's before it was ever announced as being it may have been a Best Picture nominee at the time. It seems like it may have been right just before that, because I think it was in 2019, so I think it's before the Oscar nominations were released in 2020. But I remember a Saturday afternoon, it had almost a packed house at the time. So word of mouth had gotten around that this movie was really great, and even though it's it's a South Korean movie, and it's all subtitled, but the storyline's really easy to follow, and it's a unique movie. Next one is this one. It's a David Lynch movie, and I had not seen this since like 1992 when it was released, and it's Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. I saw this in the theater, and really bizarre, and I love the TV show. Like I said, 1992, starring Cheryl Lee, Spy Number 898. It's a really bizarre movie, and it's got all of David Lynch's his touch on it. It's just a bizarre kind of a film, and the Blu-ray actually has like a 90-minute release of showing cut scenes and extended scenes. Gives you some more background on like David Bowie's character, which is he's only in the movie very briefly. Bizarre scene, just Chris Isaac. Maybe it gives a little more background between him and the sheriff's office that he had trouble with in the beginning of the movie. But it's a movie worth watching over and over, and it's a prequel to the TV show, so kind of tells you about Laura Palmer, and so I think it's a must-own for at least David Lynch fans and Criterion fans. So the next one, actually the last two movies I have here were actually bought used. I bought them at a place called The Exchange. The Exchange, they have several locations in the state of Ohio. They have some locations in Pennsylvania. They have 2 locations in Indianapolis, where I live, and they also have 2 locations in Chicago. But I find stuff there that's reasonably priced, and they're in great condition. But the next one is actually another David Lynch movie. It's Mulholland Drive. This was released in 2001. This movie was actually released like a month after 9/11 happened, and on October 12th of 2001. It's Spy Number 779. This is starring Justin Theroux, Naomi Watts, and Laura Herring. But it's definitely worth a watch here. I had not seen this since it was released, or it may have been early 2002, possibly, or when it was released on DVD or whatever it was, VHS or whatever at the time. I had not seen it in a long time, but it's a unique movie. It has a lot of it leaves a lot up for interpretation, like a lot of David Lynch movies. But it's a must watch for any David Lynch fan, again, and any Criterion collector. Then my last movie is actually a David Cronenberg movie that, like I said, this is bought used. This is Spy Number 712, and the movie is Scanners. This is released in 1981. It has Michael Ironside is one of the stars of the movie. He's a Canadian actor that we've all seen in like Starship Troopers, and you've seen him in a lot of American films as well. But it's a horror film, and it's a slow burn horror film. Some people may not be into that so much, but it's a must own for any horror fan, any Cronenberg fan and any Criterion fan, I believe. So check it out. So and please like and subscribe. Everyone have a good night. Please stay healthy, and goodbye.